Welcome back to another ep of Bronco Talk. Today on Bronco Talk, we're joined by one of the most impactful coaches in Boise State athletics, head softball coach Justin Shults. Since taking over the program in 2021, Coach Shults has transformed Bronco softball into a nationally recognized contender. Under his leadership, Boise State has set program records, captured a Mountain West regular season title, produced All-Americans, and consistently ranked among the top statistical offenses in the nation. With more than 100 career victories at Boise State, a history of developing elite hitters, Coach Shults has built a culture of excellence on and off the field. And recently, this weekend, his team was very successful in the Easton Challenge. They made the record books by defeating the highest ranked opponent in school history. Coach, we are excited to have you on. Welcome to Bronco Talk.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me, Nick. It was cool to see some new faces or old faces with Abby Bumcrod and Taylor Cottle in your intro video. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, like I said before the show, I really love softball. I'm a baseball guy, so I mean we got a great program here that you built. So I really appreciate that. We will be having Mackenzie Hanna on in a few weeks for a review of your road trip
Nice.
leading into the Blue Collar Classic. So
Cool.
really appreciate the time that you've set aside for us today.
Of course.
Well, Coach, during the offseason, you experienced some high turnover to the roster with departing production due to graduation and the transfer portal. We also saw significant changes to your coaching staff with Coach Strub and Jasper moving on. You do have Tara coming back for her second season, and you brought in Mariah Lopez on the pitching side and Tegan Cordelletti for fielding. What qualities stood out for each of them that made you confident that they're the right fit for the Boise State softball team?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is just having familiarity with both of them. I grew up in the same hometown as Mariah. She comes from a very similar coaching tree to myself. She worked at Oregon under Coach Lombardi. She was a very high quality pitcher in herself, and we just knew we needed somebody. If they were going to bring in a new face, it was somebody who was going to be able to relate to the players well. And she's done a really, really good job implementing herself into our pitching staff, having 3 freshmen, 3 sophomores. She's done a very good job developing their growth. And then with Tegan, I'm showing my age a little bit, but I think about 12 years ago, I was recruiting her when I was at Miami University in Ohio, and she's an Ohio kid. And we needed somebody to help with the short game. We needed someone to help with the outfield. And so she was one of the first people that I thought of. We connected maybe 2 years ago as she was looking for a GA position. And so she was one of the first people I thought of for that position. And so familiarity was the biggest thing for me. And they've done an awesome job stepping in and really helping elevate our team.
And as I said, we did see some key player departures, Sophia Knight and Mackenzie Butt to Tennessee, Sydney Groves, Idaho State, Leah McAnally to Iowa, and Abby Dow to Tarleton State. The transfer portal is challenging in college athletics today, and it's changing rapidly. How do you navigate the challenge of maintaining roster stability while also using the portal to bring in new talent?
Yeah, the portal works both ways. I think we've done a really good job bringing in 4 really high talented transfer portal athletes ourselves. But we really value the development piece here. I think that's something that we'll always take pride in. So not only did we add 4 transfers, but we had 9 freshmen coming in. We knew that we were going to eventually lose some of those student athletes, whether it was to graduation or the portal. And so that's a big philosophy for us. So is the development. I really like where our freshmen are at. I think they're ahead of where we projected a lot of them to be this early in the season. And it was really nice to see our transfers step up week 1 with Georgia having a home run, Maya having one, and then obviously Kate Pemberthy having the big home run against Ole Miss to put us over the top in that game. But yeah, it's the portal's it's here to stay. Our job as coaches is to figure out how to put our team in the best position possible and really get people who want to be Broncos at the end of the day.
And speaking of the freshmen, we'll just roll right into the key phases of your team. Let's start with pitching. We saw key departures. Brooke Thompson graduated. As I said, Abby Dow moved on. But you do have Julianne Rose and Olivia Bauer coming back. They've had some significant time last year. With Brooke Thompson graduating, and again, Abby Dow moving on, how are you redistributing the innings early in the season? Do you see a clear number one emerging yet? Is it a staff by committee, kind of how we've seen in the past and actually in this weekend in the Easton Classic?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing as you grow as a head coach and you just grow with your coaching staff in general. It's something we took pride in this offseason, is really developing a plan. I am ultra competitive, and a lot of times, maybe at times overthrew, like I think of Taylor Cottle a lot. She threw loads and loads of innings, and she wanted the ball, but it's for me, it's what did we overthrow her? Did we use her too much so she wasn't fresh at the end of the season? She handled the load really nicely, but I think the philosophy this year was really try to evenly distribute the ball early on. I thought we executed that really well. When you look at our numbers, obviously 5 of our 6 pitchers getting at least one start and really utilizing them properly, I thought was something that I was very proud of our coaching staff for. And on the flip side, our student athletes executed extremely well this weekend in the circle.
Yeah, you should have seen Taylor when she was in a nice rotation there in Australia. She was almost unhittable. So
yeah.
Props to her. With the growth, what kind of growth did you see with the limited action from Jules and Liv over the weekend? Do you see any improvement in their velocity, the command, composure, and leverage spots?
Yeah, I think with Jules, she was phenomenal. Day one, we just offensively didn't get it going for her. Pitched 4 really, really good innings for us. She's gone back to what we recruited her as, a little bit more fastball, rise ball, changeup, kind of what she specializes in. And it was good to see her comfortable in that game. And then we're really basing a lot of our decisions off of matchups. So she had a lighter load the rest of the weekend. But I expect her to get a lot of starts for us. And then really she should be in possibly a closing role at times as well. But really excited with where she's at early in season 2 for her. I think she's ahead of the curve there. And then I thought Liv bounced back really nicely. I think her first opportunity against Fullerton, shaky start. Just she's a strike thrower. She hits her spots really well. I thought she had some bigger misses at times, but I thought she really settled in nicely in the next game. And then we needed her on that Sunday middle relief portion, and she got 5 hitters out, and that was a huge piece to the puzzle of making sure that we knocked off Fullerton on Sunday. So for the sophomores that threw, I like where they're at, and they're going to continue to grow.
And then we'll get to the freshman integration. Very impressive. All 3 freshmen all got wins. Highlighted by Charlie Duran. She was voted and honored Freshman of the Week by the Mountain West Conference. She went 2-0 with a .66 ERA and 6 Ks. From Charlie Duran, Lula May McNamara, and Cody Crabtree, what is the biggest learning curve that you've noticed in their first action?
That they like the ball in big moments. I think that was really cool to see. We played Ole Miss and threw the 3 freshmen, partly by design, but also just partly by the situations that presented themselves. Charlie was phenomenal week 1. She's cool as a cucumber out there. Like she honestly makes me more relaxed at times because there's no situation too stressful for her. And so I was really proud of her. The Ole Miss game, you could see her battling those emotions, but anytime she needed a big pitch, she got it. She was able to help us roll up a triple play in that game, which was cool to see. Lola's a competitor. I think we've known that from day one. I've watched her through high school and travel ball, and that kid wants the ball. It doesn't matter if she's throwing 300 pitches a day. She wants the ball, and she's going to compete for the team. And she's been fun because we've been able to do a lot of cool things with our lineup because she can swing it so well as a hitter as well. So only got her 2 at-bats this weekend, but it was in pressure situations, and I really liked her approach, a veteran approach, took competitive pitches for balls and then really attacked the strikes. Just a great defensive play kept her off the board for her first hit. And then Cody Crabtree, elite spin. Really liked her in the starting role. She was phenomenal against Ole Miss. A lot of people might have thought we pulled her early. I think she was throwing a no-hitter through 3 innings, and we really wanted her to leave that game feeling really confident about herself, knowing they had a bunch of lefties coming up. We went to Lola, but really liked the combination of the 3 of them. They all do different things really, really well, and the ceiling's very high for the 3 of them.
And you've got another tournament this weekend. Most of all, you have one opponent that's really good in Omaha. Did these freshmen give you a lot of confidence going into this tournament in La Jolla?
Yeah, I think we're going to need all 6 of our pitchers this year. I think as good as the freshmen were, we have to get everybody in the game and really trust in those matchups. But yeah, the freshmen were great. I think the sophomores are going to be even better this weekend. And so for us, it's going to be a whole pitching staff all year long. You're going to see a lot of different names, hopefully, in that pitcher or freshman of the week coming out of our pitching staff. But we're not really quite to Omaha yet. We've got 2 tough opponents, Weber State and FDU, early in the tournament. So we're focused on them. And when we get to Omaha, we'll see how much of the pitching staff we had to use the first 3 games and make a decision there. But yeah, Omaha is very, very competitive. They got us a few years back in our 40-10 season. My first year, they beat us 1-0 in a tournament with an elite pitcher. And so that one's definitely been on my calendar all year. They're competitive. I'm excited to compete against them.
Just got to grind it out, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's move to defense. Notably, we've already said that we saw, you lost basically the whole outfield with the departure of Sophia and Megan and Mackenzie. Also at catcher, lost Pettis and you lost McAnally. So with so many departures from last season's core defensive unit, like those names that I just said, how are you approaching establishing a new defensive identity, and which returners or transfers have stepped up the quickest coming out of the Easton Classic?
Yeah, I mean, I like where we're at in the infield right now. I think you look at Holly Farmer. She's a seasoned veteran over there, made some really, really good plays this weekend at third base. Chloe in her second year looks a lot more settled. Had some huge plays. Fullerton up the middle. She saved a run with a diving play up the middle late in that game. And so like for the left side, they're phenomenal, and they're growing and more mature than probably meets the eye on paper. But Skylar Stroh has been a really big defensive staple for us throughout the last couple of years. I know offensively Quinn kind of played a lot of second last year, but Skylar has been phenomenal defensively. And so we really liked her leadership this weekend at second. And she had some really big swings for us. I think she ended up with 5 or 6 RBIs over the course of the weekend. And so her bat's growing day by day. And then with the transfers, we've got 2 options. Kate can play both third and first. We've used her a lot at first this weekend, Pemberthy. And she's just a very clean glove. She's got a third baseman arm slot, so she's been able to throw the ball all over the field. Already has 2 huge assists for us, ending the Ole Miss game with a throw across the diamond to third with a catch and tag, and then saved us a run in the LMU game when it was tight. She threw somebody out at the plate. And so I like her over there, but Georgia Kreider is going to be somebody you'll see at first base, if not in the DP slot a lot. And so I think we're more mature in the infield than we are in the outfield, just from a number standpoint. But our outfield, I think, did a very good job week 1, as well as you kind of saw. We moved Quinn Sutherland to center field, who played a lot of second. And then really we've got about 5 or 6 options in the outfield that we can utilize.
So just to confirm, Quinn and Stroh basically are going to be locked in at second base, and then Quinn's going to be in center field.
Yeah, and at second base, you'll see a lot of Caitlin Galasso too. We really like her left-handed bat. But as of right now, Skylar is going to close a lot of those games on defense. So if she doesn't start based on a pitching matchup, you'll definitely probably see her inserted in the 4th or 5th inning after Caitlin's gotten some good swings. As we develop Caitlin, the second base is probably the hardest position on the field with the way we run our defense. There's so many decisions that they have to make. There's so many different messages that they have to be communicating to the team. And so I really, really like Skylar's maturity out there. She's like a quarterback of our infield, constantly moving people and getting them in the right defenses.
Awesome. And then and we'll get to the offense here pretty soon, but we did see Ashley Hernandez locked in pretty good on the bases, filling some of that loss in the stolen base department. She saw some action in the outfield. Is that going to be, are we going to see more of her on defense in the outfield?
Yeah, she had a phenomenal first week. We kind of looking at it, like I said, we're going to have about 5 or 6 options in the outfield. A lot of it's going to be matchup based. But she kind of stole the show early on. We plan to kind of split the outfielders, maybe 3 and 3 or 4 and 2, just getting everybody their feet wet. And she came into that Ole Miss game, had really quality at bats in the Ole Miss game. So we kind of let her go and start the doubleheader, and she was phenomenal against Fullerton. And so she had a great weekend. Got to play left and right field. I love her versatility out there. But we still have really, really good outfielders in Marissa Gonzalez, Sofia Romero, and Kaylee Vieira. So it's going to be, you're going to see a little bit of musical chairs between them. And then really like what Grace Peffley's been doing off the bench. We've gotten her feet wet in the outfield a little bit. She's pinch ran for us. So you'll see her play some games in center field as well, whether Quinn's DHing or maybe she comes in for a few innings and we let Grace play the outfield. But I like the versatility and the depth that we have in our outfield. It's just young, so we're trying to get everybody opportunities early to see what looks the best out there.
Awesome. And then finally, the anchors between returning sophomore Talia Jenkins, who started primarily at catcher in the Classic. You have newcomers like Maya Flint, who's also labeled as a catcher. How do you evaluate the catching depth this season after graduating anchor Brooklyn Pettis and losing McAnally to transfer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy with where we're at catching wise. I think that's been a huge plus for us early on in the season. Is I like being able to combo the two. We need to keep Maya healthy and fresh because her bat's going to be one of our biggest power bats in the lineup. And so she'll catch here and there, but you see she's been in every single game. Talia's been in every single game. Even when she's not starting, she's coming in and being like our closer behind the plate. And Talia, really, I was like, without a lot of in-game experience, she played phenomenally this weekend, was really good with the drop ball pitchers, kept the run game at bay. So like, I think from a defensive standpoint, she's one of the most sound defensive catchers that I've worked with in a long time. And not that I work with them, that's all Coach T. Tara McGowan handles the catching, but watching her behind the plate, she handles our pitching staff well. And Maya did a phenomenal job back there too. Maya's probably going to catch a little bit less just because we need to keep her healthy with that bat. She's really, really doing a good job swinging it for us, and we can't let her wear down as the season goes on.
Speaking about power, as we go into the offense, everybody digs the long ball, and Coach, you're losing an enormous amount of offensive firepower due to graduation and the transfer portal. Last year we had about 84 home runs. Sophia Knight, Mackenzie Butt, Sydney Groves, and Leah McAnally alone accounted for a huge percentage of your hits and power numbers, run production last season. How do you even begin to replace that kind of output? I know we saw 2 dingers this last weekend with Kate and Maya. Do you have anything in the works to replace that?
Yeah, we've got more power than we showed this past weekend. I think Fullerton played big. We played a couple night games there, and the ball was a little stagnant. Maya probably had about 4 or 5 opportunities that just fell short. So we're still going to have the power, but I think what's fun about coaching is we're not looking to replace what we lost ever. We're looking at how do we score the most runs possible with this team, and I really like you said, Ashley was on the bases. I think our ball and dirt reads are 100 times better. We only were credited for 5 stolen bases, but I think we advanced on about 12 opportunities this weekend with ball and dirts. And so you're going to see us move around the bases, I think, more efficiently this year. And I really like the ability to grind out at bats. We had a lot of big 2-out RBIs this weekend. It's going to look different because, we're not going to live and die by the long ball, but I think you're going to see more quality at bats, and we have the depth that I don't think we had last year. I think you look at our roster right now, and we've got about 15 people getting swings in games, whether it's pinch hitting, starting, whatever it may be. You're going to see a lot of different looks with the different lefties and righties that we have in our lineup. It gives us a much better opportunity when a pitcher is really good at a certain area. We've got people in our lineup that can match that area well.
So last year we saw a lot of slap and power with both Knight and are we kind of going to see the same thing with like a Penberthy and a Sutherland and also a Hernandez Lofton, kind of the same kind of philosophy?
Yeah, Quinn's a power hitter. I don't know what you're seeing on your side. I'm just kidding. We talk about Quinn's in our 4-hole right now, an unorthodox 4-hitter, but she was awesome this weekend. A lot of big swings. She can hit for power. She hits doubles. She has the short game. So as good as Knight and Butt were, I don't really look at them like losing them. Yes, they're a big piece to what we did last year, but this roster is not going to be compared to that. We've got Kate can hit for power. Kate can also drive balls opposite field really well. And so you're going to see us probably in that area strike out a little bit less with runners on third base, is an area that we really struggled with last year. Our job is to figure out how to score runs. And so much respect to the two athletes that left, especially the two that you talked about. But we're not comparing or trying to replace anybody on our roster. We're just really trying to maximize what we have. And I really like where we're at after week 1.
So it's a reload. And so at the Eastern Classic, we saw players like Maya Flint, 381, 8 hits, 6 RBI. Kate Penberthy, she batted 364. Quinn also batted 364. Ashley, again, 333, 3 stolen bases. So that they might be ready for bigger roles. Which of these earlier performances stood out as sustainable pieces of your long-term offensive plan this year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, not to be too harsh on our team, but we've already talked about it. I think we underachieved in a lot of areas. As good as those numbers look, I think there's more in the tank. We had certain areas of the strike zone that we struggled with week 1, and that was been a big focal point for us. I also thought our short game was below average. We're going to need to fix that going into these tough tournaments coming up. But I really look at like Quinn Sutherland is one who had a big freshman year. And I expect her to have a bigger sophomore year. We're going to really rely on her to do a lot. She's protecting Maya right now. Maya's been in our 3-hole, and so Quinn in the 4-hole's got a big role to protect Maya, but she has the personality and that confidence to really do that. And so I would say Quinn's one that you can keep an eye on, and her numbers are going to be better than last year, I think, at an early glance.
And like we said, 12 of last year's top home run totals walked out the door. We saw a lot of extra base hitting over the weekend, a lot of doubles. It's great to see that. Who do you think, for the casual fan who doesn't know a lot about the roster, who do you believe has the potential to develop into those next true power threats aside from who we've already kind of identified?
Yeah, I mean, I would look at Marissa Gonzalez. I think she's going to be a fun one this year. She got a lot of opportunities and left this weekend. She didn't play softball last year. She took the year off, finished her degree at South Carolina. And so this was really her first weekend of playing competitive softball in almost 2 years. And so I think she's going to figure it out quickly. And I think she's going to have a really big year with some power, but she also can drop down a bunt when we need it to. And so I'm excited to watch her senior year as she's a new face for a lot of Bronco fans.
And speaking of Marissa, both her and Georgia Kreider had limited opportunities during the Classic. How valuable is that depth that they bring as you reshape this roster for 26?
Yeah, when you look at the power numbers, we got to figure out with our defense and our offense. Like it's tough because you look at Marissa, you look at Georgia, you look at Kaylee Vieira has a ton of pop. She had some really good swings. I thought Kaylee swung it really, really well, especially in the Portland State game. She had some really big swings that just missed. Fullerton comes in the 6th and pinch hits with a laser right at the right fielder. I think they're going to be some of our power opportunities. It's just trying to figure out how to get them all in the lineup while also still allowing our pitching staff to feel comfortable with a really good defense behind is going to be a fun challenge for our coaching staff. But I see Georgia's maybe whether it's this year or junior, senior year, she's going to be a 10, 15, 20 home run kid potentially. She's got unreal pop.
Great. And you always do really good at managing the matrix from year to year. But anyway, again, I really thank you for your time today. I really appreciate you for cutting out this in your busy schedule for us. Finally, we try to do our best to support your program. Our nonprofit tries to crowdsource for you. Finally, what message you want to send to Bronco Nation, and how can we help the program?
Yeah, I think the biggest way they can help is just show up. We have the Blue Collar Classic early March. I know the weather sometimes is spotty, but showing up for our student athletes is going to continue to build a bigger and bigger brand over there at Donna Larson Park. I think that's the biggest thing I can ask is show up, support. We've got a very talented group, and it's a really good product. I was a baseball guy as well, and I just love the product that softball's putting on the field right now. It's a faster paced game. There's just as many home runs. And so I would encourage any baseball fan out there who's maybe still a little bit frustrated with losing baseball at Boise State, come out and watch softball, because you're going to have a great time at Donna Larson Park.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of the Bronco Talk Show. A huge thank you to Coach Shults for joining us. Insights, passion, vision for Boise State softball. It's clear that under his leadership, this program isn't just competing, it's setting new standards, breaking records, and Bronco Nation can be proud of. To all of our viewers, thank you for tuning in and supporting the athletes, the coaches, and the stories that make it special. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to follow the show, share the episode, stay connected as we continue bringing you a deeper looks into the heart of Bronco athletics. For Coach Shults and everyone here at Bronco Talk, I'm Nick Wade. We'll see you next time.
Go Broncos.
Hi, I'm Ron Dorn. I'm president of Blue Elevation. A lot of you have probably heard of it in other sites like Bronco Nation Updates, and I just want to talk a little bit about Boise State football and what we're trying to do to help move the team forward. It's a lot of fun to work with them, but as you know, with the upheaval in college football and the NIL money, we're always needing more, and we're trying to do that by giving more news to you than you can get in other sources, and events that you might be able to attend. And we would just love to see your support, additional support for Boise State, so we can take this to the next level, especially moving into the Pac-12. I see such a bright future for us by doing this. For those of you that are as old as I am, you remember when we had wooden bleachers and we did rodeos in the stadium, and we had good coaches and we were doing the best we can with what we had. These coaches need that continuated support to make it happen for us. You can see what we've done with what little we've had, but we really need the help, and we just need the commitment, and we need you to get involved with us to push the Boise State program forward. Again, especially going to the Pac-12, and especially the futures out there, and what the basketball team is doing, the women's softball team is doing, and some other sports that I follow. We just want to keep you involved and focused and helping us out any way that you can do that to support our university.